Between love and hate. That's the only part of the song I know. Don't come for me. Hi, y'all. My name is Jasmine Jones. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and you are now watching Black Girl Therapists in the Wild. And this is a little series I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews. And today I'm sipping on a smoothie because it is morning and I'm not about to drink in the morning. But yeah, today we are reviewing It's a Thin Line Between Love and Hate, that 1996 classic produced and directed by Martin Lawrence and starring Martin Lawrence. That was his little venture into making movies. It has a 5.7 review on IMDb, and for anybody that peruses IMDb on a regular basis, that's pretty bad. But if you really watch this movie, it makes me feel like just like Two Can Play That Game is kind of a representation of for women. So this is all going to be like heterosexual verbiage and shit in here because that's what I know, because that's what I am. But if the shoe fits, put it on that motherfucker and let them walk away. Anyways, this is like, the male rendition of that. Playing games, bullshitting, where Two Can Play That Game was more so of a reactionary movie to being played with. This is more of this nigga calls this that. And so let's get into it. When I was first watching it, I was just kind of like, this is about a stalker and a fuckboy that gets his. But Brandy in this movie. So the characters, Martin Lawrence, he's Darrell. Regina King is Mia. That's the one he actually likes. And Lynn Whitfield plays Brandy. She's the one that goes crazy and wants to kill him for no fucking reason. So this movie starts off with him just describing himself as a player. He likes to fuck women and lie to them and bullshit them.
You so fine.
What's up, Miss Lady? Don't make me crash out here.
What's happening? Give Miss Lady a glass of champagne.
Like I always say, there's nothing wrong with being promiscuous. But why are we purposely going after people that want to have relationships? What is the goal here of going after people that purposely have relationships? So this question was like running through my mind. The whole, like, why is he going after women that actually want, there's plenty of women that just want to fuck. That don't want relationships. I don't know. I was like, is it because there's no challenge? Is there because, I don't know. But anyways, I'll get to what my conclusions in a minute were on that, because it was really eye-opening while watching this movie. So he is like a club promoter, and him and his friend T, that's played by Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown, again, look at that. It's all the same black folks, I think. Are promoting this club called Chocolate City for their boss Smitty, and Smitty wants partners. So he's looking at T and Darrell as potential partners to run the club with him. So he's just talking about all the bitches he got. He got a shy bitch to work at the laundromat. He got a bitch with kids, and he's getting friendly with these kids, like making promises and saying he cares about them and doing all that. If you just want to fuck, I don't understand what the problem is. So, anyways, he has all these bitches, and then apparently one day he meets the wrong woman. And I'm just like, and it looks like he lives with his mom, but like he bounces between Mia's house, his mom's house. I don't know if he actually has his own place. He has a car though. But yeah, anyways, one day he's coming out of the club and he sees Brandy. Brandy is, a real estate agent, top in her game. She lives in Malibu. She has an infinity pool that's indigo. She has her shit together. And she's turning him down at every turn. Like, no, I'm not interested. No, leave me alone. When he walks up to her at her car, like she's like saying no and rolling up the window, and he plops his card into the window as it's rolling up, and he invites her to his club that night. She comes to the club. She's like looking around, looking cute, all this other stuff. And he tries to mac her up again. She's like, no, I'm not feeling it. Leave me alone. I just wanted to see what this shit was about. She's turning him. That is going to be an important piece to this. She turned him down. She gave him multiple outs. That's all I'm saying. Multiple outs. And so anyway, she leaves the club. And she doesn't say shit to him. He sees her walk out. He follows her out and he takes her license plate number. This is where he starts to become a crazy motherfucker. He takes her license plate number. They don't show how he does it, but he finds out where she works. He shows up at her job with a bushel of roses and attempts to talk to her again. Like, so he's chasing her down through this whole first part of the movie, making it seem like he's just, and in the background, Mia, his childhood friend, Regina King, has returned from the Air Force, and she's thinking about deploying again, but she's not sure if she wants to. And he actually cares and has feelings for her, but he doesn't, he's not there yet as far as having a relationship. So, he's trying to mac her up, Brandia, because what happened was at the club, him and T made a bet that he would be able to fuck her in a matter of days. And I don't know what he was supposed to win off of that bet. I guess just the pride of being able to have sex with this woman who doesn't want him, like she's an animal in the wild, and he needs to hunt her down and kill her and then bring back her fur. So anyways, he shows up at her job with his bushel of roses. And I'm just like, this nigga's crazy. I wish a nigga would show up at my fucking place of business. I don't know you. I met you like once on the street. And I went to one night at your club and you followed me. So, she's like, and kicks him out, calls security, has one of her assistants or whatever throw his roses away and kicks him the fuck out. So then she has a house viewing that she's doing for somebody that scheduled an appointment. She shows up to the house. It's him in a limo driven by one of his friends. And he's just basically stalking this bitch. She's turning him down. He's stalking her. So that's why I was just kind of like, they make this movie out to be like she's just the most craziest. She started all of this. She did the way they promoted this movie when I was a kid. It was like, wow, she's like, my mom wouldn't even let me watch this movie when I was a kid, and I didn't know why. I was like 9. I was like, why can't I watch? And I'm watching it, and I'm just like, is it because it hurt her feelings? Because there's only one sex scene. Like, there's literally only one sex scene. Because it hurt my feelings to watch. It was triggering. I felt bad for Brandy, even though she has issues. And we'll get to her issues. I feel like she may be borderline. But at the end of the day, she was egged on into her worst scenario. Yes, we all should be strong enough to deal with rejection and people doing fuck shit to us, but at the same time, if you have severe mental health issues and somebody is pushing you and chasing you and not leaving you the fuck alone, then it's kind of like, okay, we either going to put up very strong boundaries because we are healthy and we are in a good place, or we are going to go fucking insane and do something stupid because she has severe mental health issues. And yes, she should have been in control of herself. I'm not saying that she should have tried to kill him and all this other stuff. I'm just saying that he did a lot to push her. He pushed and stalked. So he shows up at the house viewing. The house is like $2 million. He can't buy that house, but he shows up and he's there and she shows him the house and he tells her he can't afford it and basically he's just there for her. And so then comes the whining and the dining, the laughing and the joking, the boyfriend type shit that niggas do. But then say, oh, but I didn't say we were together. But you're taking her out dancing, you're horseback riding, you're laughing and giggling and joking with her, like, doing cutesy little things, buying her shit, taking her to your neighborhood and buying her food and all these cutesy things that niggas do that they feel like don't affect people. And they look at you crazy when you say, so what are we? What do you mean, what are we? Well, we went horseback riding, my nigga, together in the forest alone. a whole romantical setup. What do you mean? Why am I asking you that question? It's just triggering. It's triggering. And I felt really bad for Brandy. So they go horseback riding. This is like the final wine and dine scene. And he tries to like have sex with her in the woods. And she's like, no, I don't know you. I don't trust you. I don't da 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 da. And he's like, well, why are you playing games? What do you mean you don't know me? We've been hanging out and da da da. They've probably been hanging out for like 2 weeks or some shit. With many things that they did, I'll give them 2 weeks they've been hanging out. Cause he's going hard in the paint for this bitch. So he's probably doing shit with her every day, every weekend, whatever, just to get some pussy. And so anyways, he's like, what? It's gaslighting her, of course. Like, what do you mean you don't know me? What do you mean? Da, da, da. And she's like, I don't trust you. We're out here in the woods by ourselves. I don't trust you. I don't know you, man. And then so he leaves. And then he goes and he talks to Mia. Mia's dating this dude whose family owns like a chicken franchise. And I feel wholeheartedly that Mia should have just stayed with him. It's the dude. I forgot what show he was on. I'll put a picture of some shit. But his family, so he's rich and he seems like a pretty decent guy, but Mia ends up with Daryl, and I'm just kind of like, Daryl has issues. Daryl didn't just have a come to Jesus moment just because he went through some shit. Daryl needs to go to therapy. But you ended up with Daryl because Daryl was mad that you were dating Chicken Nigga. I would have been with Chicken Nigga. Chicken Nigga would have bought me a house, a car. He seemed like a decent person, so he probably make me laugh, have good conversations, all the things. But whatever. They want to put us black women with these trash ass niggas that have issues and manipulate people and egg people on and don't see people as human beings. Whatever. So after the whole horseback riding thing, he's playing ball with Mia, and he asked Mia,
Trust me.
Yeah, I trust you. I trust you to do exactly what you're gonna do.
am I trustworthy? Do you trust me? That's what he said. Because, it's been like trickling through his brain. So he's taking it personally that Brandy said she didn't trust him. When in reality, Brandy is saying she doesn't trust him because she's been through things. But you're internalizing it and taking it personally, like she's talking to you personally, like there's something wrong with you. See, and I'm just like, so as the movie's going along, I'm just putting together this pathology of men. I'm just like, I start to notice that he calls his mom and his sister and Mia by their names. He calls all the women he's fucking its and that.
Man, she way out of your league, kid.
No, because I'm going to hit that, and you know I'm going to hit that.
And I'm just like, do men not see women who are not close to them? Like, do they not see them as people? And I'm just like, there's a cognitive dissonance here. So cognitive dissonance is like you're holding two opposing ideas in your head at the same time. So it's that whole like, racism, but at the same time, I don't see color. And it's like, but you're being racist, but I don't see color. Okay. But so it's like that. And I'm just like, so do men only see women that are close to them as people? Are they only able to do that? Like some of them, some, I'm not going to say all, but some. And then the women that they could potentially fuck, they just see as objects, as things, as its and that's and meat and stuff. Like there's a whole scene where they're just standing there looking at Brandy and being like, look at it, watch that. And I'm just like, she's a person. What the And so it's kind of like, it just blew my mind. I was just like, this is why. Because the whole, like, his sister's like 15 and she's going to prom with some older dude whose brother is like a player. And so he's worried about his sister. And I'm just like, you're worried about your sister, but you're doing the exact same thing to other women. And it's like, because you don't see other women as people. They're just like objects. They're just objects. That's like, I was just like, I mean, I know about objectification and all this other stuff, and you know about it, but you don't necessarily know how deep it goes. Men see women as objects. Y'all, watch this movie again. He barely ever refers to, like the women he's having sex with in the very beginning. He's like, I got a laundromat girl. I got the girl with the kids. And it's like, and then they even have this whole scene where him and his boys are sitting in the club, and it's like the after the club, this is the night, like Brandy felt shell shocked about the whole him walking away from her, and we'll get to that because I think she's borderline and that triggered her. And so she came to the club and tried to talk to him, and then he was all standoffish and doing that nigga shit where they act like they don't give a fuck about you, but really they just trying to like mess with your head so that you'll fuck them or whatever the fuck. And so she leaves, and then she pages him after the club. And so this is after the club. Before she pages him, he's talking to his boys, and his boys is just like, oh, well.
You can't get rid of them. Mm-hmm. So you got to even it out. You got to give them just enough. Just enough for the city.
Oh, you know, you can only give women just the right amount of attention. If you give them too much, then you're pussy whipped and you can't have anything. And then if you give them too little, then they're always on your ass and da 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 da. So you have to give them just the right amount. So they'll give you the vagina, and then, you know, and I'm just like, they don't see us as people. This is how they see us. Like, if you give us this, then we'll give you that, like an exchange of things. Like, this is why I don't date. I don't have the energy to untangle your societal fucked up shit that society told you was right about women and all this. I don't have that energy. I applaud the ones that do. You know, that's why I was just like, when I was watching Two Can Play That Game, I was just like, this will work. These rules work if you're dealing with a man that objectifies you, that sees you as an object to win rather than as a person. She was her boyfriend though was somebody that actually saw her as a person. Like, he had this big ass, you know, picture of her in his house and everything. Like, he saw her as a human being, as an individual person with feelings and wants and shit like that. And that's why her games and trickery and foolishness didn't work on him. And he was just like, well, I'm going to leave because this is hurting my feelings because I care about you. And it seems like you don't care about me. And so I'm just going to walk the fuck away and mope in a corner over here at the back of the club. So those rules really only work when you're dealing with somebody who objectifies women. This is reiterated in this movie. It's like a TED Talk. Like, this is reiterated in this movie. It's a thin line because it shows you how much even when she said that she didn't trust him, he didn't see her as having gone through something and that's why she didn't trust him. He only saw himself, and that's why he went to Mia and asked, well, am I trustworthy? And of course, Mia said that I can trust you to be you, to be a player, to you know, take care of your mama, I can trust you to do the things that you do, that you've always done, you know. But that made him think, because that's like, well, you can't trust me to be there for you or to be in a relationship or no, I can't. I've never seen you do that. I can only trust you to be yourself. So Brandy pages him after the club while he's talking to his boys about how women need only so much amount of attention. Like, it's only such amount of seasoning that we need to put in this dish for it to taste perfect, because it's a dish, it's not a person. And so he goes to Brandy's house in Malibu, and he sees her indigo pool. She got everything set up for her. She got her whole life, and she's in this like nice little negligee, looking cute and all this other shit. And he goes into the house, and she's like, you know, are you sure that you want me? Are you sure? Like, she's giving him out. She is giving him an out every fucking step of the way until she fucking snaps, okay? Are you sure that you want me? Are you sure that you need me? Are you sure that you don't have feelings for someone else? Because when she went to the club earlier that night, Mia came over with old chicken dude and was trying to talk to him, and she saw that he was acting awkward and fucked up to the chicken dude. So she asked him, are you sure you ain't got feelings for somebody else? And then here's the clincher. She goes, do you love me? And I'm just like, obviously she has abandonment and whatever issues, but this nigga has said repeatedly throughout this movie that he does not say I love you to these women. That is his one rule. This nigga said it. And I'm just like, is it worth this? Do you not? So the empathy of how saying that to her might affect her isn't there because he doesn't see her as a person. Y'all get that? Y'all get that? It's not that the nigga is evil. It's that society has developed in men this lack of empathy for women that are not close to them, that aren't in their family, that aren't their mothers, that aren't their sisters, that aren't their cousins. They can see every individual piece of the people that are in their family that they've grown up with and things like that, but they can't see women outside of that. Like, no, we don't do that. We don't. So wow, a lot of women are being stuck in these trash relationships because they're seeing all the pieces of this man that make him him and falling in love with all those pieces of him. He's just seeing her as somebody to fuck. He's not really, she cooks for me sometimes, y'all. She sucks my dick, you know. She dresses cute sometimes. Like, do you know anything else about her? What makes her happy? What makes her sad? What's her favorite color? What kind of goofy things does she do? What does she like to watch on TV? What silly stuff does she do? Like, do you know anything about her besides the fact that she cooks and cleans and sucks your dick and fucks you sometimes and dresses cute? Oh gosh. Dating is scary. Dating is fucking scary. And that a lot of men in this world, because patriarchy is in every culture, are socialized like this. Like, they don't see us. Women see men for who they are. Like, I haven't met one woman who couldn't list off 10 different personality traits of their boyfriends. But men, if you hear personality traits, it's that, oh, well, she's crazy. And he keeps calling her crazy in this movie too. And I'm just like, is she crazy? Or has she been hurt so much that she's tired and she snaps and she's killing people and she has abandonment issues? And okay, let's keep going. So he has sex with her. And while they're having sex, she tells him, and this is like the thing. So in the beginning, I don't fault Brandy for anything in the first half of this movie because she told him over and over again what she wanted, what she needed, how she didn't want to be with him. She was honest. But this is the part where I fault her, is that she tells him while they're having sex, after she made him say, or she didn't make him say it. No, he didn't have to say that. After she asked him if he loved her, she tells him while they're having sex that
about my husband. He was he was a very abusive man. Cruel, insensitive.
You shouldn't be that way. You shouldn't be that way.
And I killed him.
she has been hurt before and that she killed her husband. And of course he's looking shocked and appalled, like, well, I mean, she's a person, so she has a history. You didn't want to get to know her history. You just wanted to do cutesy things and kiss on her and shit until eventually she had sex with you. So this are things that come up when you don't get to know somebody. These are things that happen. You don't know her. So that's why you ended up where you ended up, because you don't know her. You weren't trying to know her. You were trying to fulfill a bet. So anyways, he just like, oh, well, oh, and she was just like, well, he was abusive and he hit me and all this other stuff. And he was like, well, if he hit you, then of course he deserved to die. If he hit, and then they started fucking and shit. And so after they fucking, he goes down to the kitchen immediately afterwards. And I'm just like, this nigga put this act on this whole time. And if you cut off the part where he started acting like an asshole after they had sex, and you cut off the part where it's all a bed, that whole scene where they're frolicking and playing and getting to know each other, that could be in any romance movie, because you don't know the backstory. So these niggas can act, and it's like, and I'm just like, they wonder why we are just so attached. Well, you spent like a good 2 or 3 weeks, another week, because they did a lot of shit. 2 or 3 weeks, whining and dining and making me feel like I'm the only one and I'm special. You didn't say the words necessarily, or if you did, or maybe you did. Sometimes they do say the words, but you made me feel things. And then you walked off. And I always hear this shit about, well, she stayed. I told her we weren't together, but she stayed. My nigga, you were doing boyfriend shit though? What the fuck is she supposed to think when you're coming over and making her dinner and going on horseback rides and going dancing and she's the center of your attention for like 2 or 3 weeks and shit? That fucks with people's brains. And it's like, the lack of empathy here is like, yeah, you told her that you weren't together, but she still wants to be with you. So it's okay. Like, you don't feel bad that like somebody is hurting their feelings on you. Like, if somebody liked me, I don't care how fine they were, interesting they were, if I don't like them, I'm not gonna drag them around with me just because I want company, because I'm lonely and I want to fuck sometimes, because I don't want to watch somebody's feelings get hurt. That fucks with my emotions. Because I have empathy. So these niggas out here, they don't have that empathy, y'all. So be prepared to get your feelings hurt, or unless you're ready to put up some boundaries. Soon as I see fuck shit, I'm like, no. I matched a nigga on Tinder the other day just because I asked him a question. And then I noticed that I was the only one that was asking him questions about himself. But he was asking no questions. There was no balance. I was just like, so you don't want to know about me? You don't want to know about me? Like, if I don't hear from you in like a whole day after I send a message to you, like, I give you like a day and a half, because people have jobs and lives and shit, and you don't know me either. I'm unmatching. I don't have time for that shit, because I know where that shit leads. If on your profile it says I'm polyamorous, I'm just looking for fun, I'm just looking for a hookup, well, thank you for letting me know. Immediately swipe left. I don't give the time of day anymore, because this is where this shit leads, and niggas will blame that shit on you. This is where this shit leads. It leads to niggas sitting up here talking about, oh, we're not together, and I told you we weren't together, even though I took you horseback riding and made love to you in a field of fucking roses or some shit. This movie made me depressed. I was gonna do this shit last night, but I didn't, because I was just like, this is depressing. These niggas don't see us as people. Like, you see your mama, he's slipping money in his mama's purse because he knows that she struggles and works hard for him, and he has affection and care for her and all this other stuff. He's being protective of his sister because he knows she's young and innocent and deserves the best because she's an awesome person. He's like, you know, half-assing it with Mia, because I feel like the cognitive dissonance with Mia is confusing him, because he cares about Mia. He sees her as a person because he grew up with her, but at the same time, he also sees her as someone to fuck. And so when you see someone as a man, when you see someone as someone to fuck, then you end up, you know, they're objects. The people that you want to fuck are just objects. So how can I care about this person but also want to fuck her? This is so confusing. Oh my gosh. So anyways, they have sex. He goes downstairs. He gets on the phone with T and is like, yeah, I'm the man. We fuck. Da, da, da. And he turns around and there's, whatchamacallit, Brandy. And she's like, what did you hit? Because he said, I hit it. He's like, oh, we were just talking about a softball game we had as kids. And so Brandy is just on cloud 9. She is in love with this motherfucker. Yes, she has issues. It's only been 2 weeks. Don't fall in love with somebody you don't know like that. And she's like taking him shopping, buying him clothes and doing all this shit, treating him like he's her son. So she's, you know, seeing him as an object too, as somebody that's there to love her rather than as a person who's doing fuck shit to her, and, you know, not seeing that a lot of these things he's doing is odd. So she's seeing him as an object too. And I'm not saying that women don't objectify men. I mean, that's what Two Can Play That Game is like, you are seeing him as somebody that objectifies women, and so you are playing this game with him because you think that he's not an actual person that can care and have feelings and emotions. But a lot of times you have to be made to get to that point when it comes to being a woman, because we're not socialized like that. We're socialized to care, to have emotions, to see other people's feelings and have empathy and things. Something has to happen over and over again for us to get to that point where we see men as all the same and we try to treat them as all the same and we have the same expectations for all of them. And so she's thinking she's on cloud nine. She's thinking, well, he chased me down. I said, no, this is like a romance novel. He must love me. And no, he doesn't. So she takes him shopping, and then she's like, well, don't worry about the club, I'll buy you a club. And he's like, no, I want my own shit. And she's not seeing that he wants his own shit and he's an individual and all this other stuff. So she's like, okay, well, I'll lend you my limousine and you can go do your business and then come back tonight. I have a dinner for us. It's my birthday. It's her birthday that day. And he's like, oh, I didn't know it was your birthday. Like, he doesn't even give a shit it's her birthday. He takes a limo, drives around town, goes to his mama's house, sees his sister off to her a little prom thing, gives her date a little read and lets him know that, don't fuck around with my sister. And then he goes to Mia's house with his limousine and basically professes how he feels to her. Then they go take the limousine and sit on some cliff and is overlooking the city and, is talking and jib-jabbing with Brandy's limousine. All this time Brandy is at home with this dinner on her birthday, fuming, and it's just like she takes the knife and stabs the table. She's upset, and I'm not mad at her for being upset. I'm just like, but yes, we need better boundaries and understand. Once you understand that these niggas don't see you as people, it's easier to put up boundaries when you start seeing that objectification shit start happening. Oh, you don't want to get to know me. Oh, you're not really interested in me. Okay, I have to go. You don't have to teach these niggas how to love you. That's what teaching these niggas how to love you is. It's basically teaching these niggas how to have empathy and see you as a person. No. Anyways. So, he goes to Mia's house. They spend the night. They don't have sex. They sleep. And then the next day, Brandy has left her cake with the knife in it on his porch. He throws it in the trash, and then he proceeds to break up with all of his honeys. And the fucked up part was the woman with the mother with the kids. He had promised those kids that he was going to take them to Disneyland and do all the. Why, if you are just fucking somebody, why are you promising their kids things? You know what? It's whatever. And so, he doesn't see them as people, and any extension of them, he doesn't see them as people. So he doesn't see her children as people. It's just sickening. I hate these things. Oh, gosh, it's so upsetting. It's so upsetting. I'm so bothered. And like I said, this is all from a heterosexual lens, but if the shoe fits for one of these motherfuckers you dating, or if it fits for yourself, like, maybe I don't see people as people. Then you need to take a step back and either get rid of them motherfuckers or go to therapy for your damn self, because it's not okay. It's not okay. This world is trash. So anyways, he goes to Brandy's house and lets her know that he's done. Brandy tries to play it off, be all cool and shit, like, oh, it's whatever. We were just fucking. We can just be friends and shit like that. And he's like, yeah, well, fine. And then he drops the knife that she left on his porch and shit, and he leaves. And Brandy is just like falling apart. So this is where we come to Brandy. She has issues. I don't know if her husband actually abused her or not, because she mentioned he cheated when she was going after this nigga. She mentioned he cheated. So, he could have done all of the above, but Brandy's obviously been through things. So when we think of borderline personality disorder, it's a disorder that's based off of, a lot of studies are saying that people that have it tend to have been through severe abuse. And, it's basically a fear of rejection and abandonment to the point where you will do anything and everything to keep people around you. You'll become clingy. You'll become desperate. You'll harm yourself. And something Brandy did, she beat herself up and then went to the hospital and called the police and said it was that nigga. She shows up doing hysterical shit, showing up in his kitchen and cooking him breakfast at his home and shit. And I think maybe it was his home. Maybe that was his apartment. I don't know. And burning the bacon in the kitchen, and he's like, get the fuck out, and he pushes her up against the wall because she won't get off of him and shit. No, he shouldn't have put his hands on her and shit. And I'm gonna throw that, no, he shouldn't, but he pushed her off of him, and she ended up banging herself up against he banged her up against the wall. So I don't know. I mean, if someone's on you, you got to get them off of you. And I mean, he didn't keep hitting her, but I still felt a type of way. But I mean, at the same, I'm in the middle. I'm like, she was on him and he pushed her off of him up against the wall and walked out. So, maybe it wasn't a problem. I don't know. Anyways, so she's doing all the extras because she's been through shit. when she's talking about her husband at the end and how he cheated on her, she kind of regresses a little bit and goes into this childlike speech of, I was a good girl and he cheated on me, like a little kid. So that makes me think, did something happen to you when you were a child? Did somebody hurt you as a child? And it's kind of being brought into each relationship that you have, like this pain that whoever did what they did to you did. And that feeling of there's something wrong with you, there's an empty feeling all the time, and you just, there's a frantic anxiety feeling. It's just this up and down, and it's like, I was proud of her for the first half of the movie, because that means that either she went to therapy or she did something to maintain her boundaries to a certain point. But as soon as that horseback riding shit came and he started ignoring her, that's when she fell apart. Because she was ignoring him the whole time. Like, I don't want this nigga. He's weird. He's doing stuff. I don't trust him. He found out where I work. That's creepy. She was like doing stuff. But then at the same time too, she did show up at the club. Like, if you don't want this nigga. So I don't know if she was setting boundaries or if she was playing a game too. Because if you don't want this, maybe it's one of those, I'm trying to set boundaries and hold on to myself, but I can only hold on to myself so much. And then eventually that feeling inside of me needs to be fulfilled. So maybe I'll just show up at the club. That'll be it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to show up at the club, see what it's about, and leave. And that's what she did. So she went through shit. Something happened to her to make her this way. And, this is how she sees the world. People leave, people hurt you, people do things. And so I need to punish them for doing things to me. Especially menfolk, And she gives this whole speech at the end. Like, so, she starts going after his family and wrecking his car. He tries to go to the police and get a restraining order. They laugh him out the fucking precinct. And then he basically breaks up with Mia and says he needs to take a break or whatever the fuck. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? We were together. Mia, you knew this nigga had issues. I would not be surprised that he did that, but whatever. And so he then tries to burn down the club that he works at, and that's when he says fuck it and goes up to her house. She knocks him out, ties him up, starts giving the speech about how men objectify women, and it's the truth. Everything she said. I mean, the vehicle that she used to say what she needed to say was not okay, but it's the truth.
Oh, yes. Honey, let me tell you something. We are not your bitches, your hookers, your whores, or your honeys. And you know what? We do just fine without your dick or your money.
It's fucking crazy.
So you see, you can't have your cake and eat it.
You men, you objectify us, and you just see us as little toys to take off of the shelf and play with for a little bit and then put back and da-da-da-da. And I was just like, this whole movie has shown that. But he just blows it off as, oh, you're crazy and stuff like that. So T and whatchamacallit, what's her name? Mia figure out what happened, and they go to Brandy's house, and Brandy knocks T out, and then she takes Mia and whatchamacallit, they're upstairs, all three of them. So Mia, Brandy, and Daryl, they're all upstairs arguing and fighting. At some point before Mia and T came, Brandy had Daryl in a tub tied up, and he starts apologizing to her like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And I'm just like, what are you sorry for though? But none of this should have happened. She wasn't right to kidnap him, and if it was me, I would just take this as an L and be like, this is another thing that I need to heal from, because niggas ain't shit. I would have been in this situation though. As soon as you find my job and where I work for my license plate, I am getting a restraining order because there's something wrong with you, sir. I'm not entertaining this. There's something wrong with you. That's not cute. That's not romantic. None of that is. He got her license plate number and found out where she worked. He could have been a serial killer, a rapist, he is a stalker. So anyways, he's like, I'm sorry. Da, 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 da. And, they end up fighting and whatever, and they end up falling out the window. Daryl ends up in the hospital. They end up falling into the indigo infinity pool. It's gorgeous, beautiful. And Daryl ends up in the hospital. Brandy ends up going to jail. I think she gets out at some point. And Daryl does a little voiceover where he's like, I hope that somebody, she spends her time in jail healing that hole in her heart so that she doesn't bring that shit into another relationship. And I'm just like, you've missed the point. The whole point of this. Like, he even says, like, you know, and I need to be a man and take responsibility for my actions and and I'm just like, you still don't see. Yeah, you need to take responsibility for your actions, but are you going to admit to the actions that you did and how it hurt her and what it did to her? I mean, he still doesn't see at the end. He just still doesn't see that, you know, she was a person that went through shit and that's why she did what she did. And he egged her on and shit like that. So, I mean, I guess kind of, I mean, he said you need to deal with it. I don't know. I just feel like if Two Can Play That Game is a response to women and their pain of being played over and over again and then going into an anxious cycle of only seeing men as objects and trying to use all these rules to control men, then this is another example of men only seeing women as objects and playing these stupid ass games to have sex with them. And it's like, I think it's more for the game than it is for the sex, because like I said, you can find any bitch out here that'll fuck you. It's just because you don't feel in control of the situation, because she doesn't have emotions for you, and that makes you feel not in control of the situations, then your emotions are bothered, because then now she's not an object. Now she's somebody that is in control of the situation and not somebody that you're in control of. And so that's what I think is going on here, is that it's more about the game than it is about the sex. Like, you can have sex with anybody, but it's different when you have that person hanging off of you emotionally and wanting to be with you. That's sick. That is sick. That's gross. See, that's why I don't date. Fuck these niggas. You got me fucked up. You about to be hanging off something. That was a long time ago when I was in that space, and it's not ever going to happen again. And I just feel like a lot of us out there, whatever sexual orientation you is, if you've experiencing this type of shit, because you don't got to just be with men. Women can be like this too. It just depends on how they were raised and what they've been through and all this other shit. But it's like, that shit is sick. What y'all think? Let me know in the comments. What y'all think? Like, men don't see us as people. Heterosexual cis men don't see heterosexual cis women as human fucking beings that have feelings and emotions and history and stuff. They just see us as objects to play with, and but they see their mamas and their sisters and their cousins and their aunties as people. I feel a type of way. I hope you enjoyed this review. Comment down below what you think. Subscribe and all the things that the people say. There are kids outside on scooters when they should be inside at school. I know. Anyways, comment and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this review. Later day.